Whoa. Hey, here we are. Are we here?
I think we are here.
Hi, gentlemen. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure if I used the word cautionary enough yesterday when I was talking about the positive things about psychedelics.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel compelled to do a really big stream that should have like red tape and caution signs all over it and fucking like crime scene investigation tape. And, like we're going to be doing autopsies. Could be pretty serious shit, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanted to point out that I found a paper. Now, Johns Hopkins is the one that's doing these guided trips, where they take you in, they psychologically evaluate you, they give you psilocybin, and then they give you a questionnaire. Now, another paper that I found that I want to go over is they have a questionnaire about whether or not you had a mystical experience on psilocybin. And their questionnaire is so woo-oriented. It's so slanted to religion and woo that I really want to call them up and say, what the fuck? Come on.
Now, this is an issue that came up for me on my stream. The guy you mentioned yesterday. Oh my gosh, what's his name?
Roland Griffiths or Michael? Which one?
The guy got mad at in my stream one time, but you met him along.
Kafai.
This was an issue we had because he was citing papers like this that used woo language in order to prove that the scientific community has reached some kind of a consensus or has an established scientific tradition of acknowledging that woo is a real thing, that it's part of the scientific process and discovery, because they use certain words. And I'm like, no, that's not what that means. They're being careless with their words, and I need to write them a letter to tell them to clean up their act. And he's like, no, you don't get to tell scientists how to do their job. And
you do.
So I had the same issue with these papers. In fact, this is one of the ones. This is one of the papers, and it's like, yeah, I agree with you. They need to be more careful with their language. It causes a lot of confusion because there's no room for woo in science, and so if they're going to use a word like mystical experience, then they need to include the disclaimer that explains it in a secular context what they really mean, right? So.
Yeah, I've got to find this Bartlett paper. I think it's by Bartlett. Let me see if I can find it. We'll talk about that next, but I wanted to talk about this particular paper is a survey that they did where they advertised in I think newspaper, magazines, and whatever, and they got about 4,000 participants to talk about the problems that they had with psychedelics. So like really bad trips, bad experiences, dangerous experiences, that sort of thing. And let me see if I can figure out what the hell I did with that paper. Oh my God, I'm in the process of organizing and naming them. But anyway, so out of these, I think they eliminated all but 1,000 participants because they didn't want people that were doing multiple drugs, mixing drugs. They didn't want people that were batshit crazy. They didn't want people that were not answering the entire questionnaire. So they eliminated a whole bunch of them.
Sure.
Damn. Well, anyway, I'm going to search for that paper later on mystical experiences. But this one right here, let's see. So survey study of challenging experiences after ingesting psilocybin mushrooms. Acute, why is that there? And enduring positive and negative consequences. So anyway, let's see the abstract. Acute and adverse effects of psilocybin have been reported anecdotally, but have not been well characterized. For this study, 1,993 individuals were given a survey, an online survey, and they come up with, we'll get to the results later. But anyway, they go through and they talk about psilocybin a little bit. They talk about the methods, the measures, and how they, how they included or did not include certain people. 92 were excluded because participants reported that the experience was attributed to the co-consumption of substances other than psilocybin. Now, anybody who does that deserves to have a bad time. I mean, if you think you're going to mix a cocktail of drugs, you deserve everything you get.
Right.
So anyway, but now the thing is that there are bad trips, and a bad trip is consists of this: you are going to feel things at roughly 100 times the intensity that you normally feel them. And if you're having trouble breathing, or you have anxiety or whatever, and you don't know how to manage these symptoms, you can get into an anxiety cycle that, where you want to basically call the emergency room and have them come get you. And a few of these people did that because they had severe anxiety effects or whatever. So you feel things that now the other thing that happens to you is if you take a high enough dose, around 4 grams of dried mushrooms, which is about 20 to 25 milligrams of psilocybin, you will basically disappear for about an hour and a half to where you are not operant. Like you can't quite figure out what you are, so that you may do something like cross the room. Even though I have been able to get into the bathtub and somehow and get out of it without killing myself, the whole time I was in the bathtub, I did not know what I was. And I did not know exactly what was happening to me. All I knew is that I was experiencing a stream of consciousness unlike anything I'd ever felt before. And it was scary as fuck. And it wasn't an enjoyable experience. So it's not something if you want to have fun, you take a very low dose or a lower dose. You don't go into these heroic doses that Kafai talks about, the therapeutic doses, because you will disappear for a little while, for at least an hour and a half, until you put yourself back together again. So this is something that you don't want to fuck with lightly. And a lot of people have a trusted guide. Like if you had a loved one who really understood it and was behind what you were doing, it would be a good idea for them to be around and talk to you. If you can do it with a therapist, my work has been with a therapist, except not at the time. I do it at the time I'm alone. And I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag here a little bit, Scott. I'm in psychotherapy for a psychedelic form of psychotherapy. So I've experienced some of this stuff. And you have to have guided, basically guided therapy. So you know what the fuck you're working on. You know what you're doing. You've taken precautions, that sort of thing. But anyway, okay, right. The challenging psilocybin session. So the median reported weight of dried psilocybin mushrooms was 4 grams, which is about 20 to 25 milligrams. That's a pretty high dose. That's when you get around 5 or 6 grams, you are well into ego dissolution and all that shit. So 36% reported that they were attempting to take larger than usual doses of psilocybin. So 1/3 of these participants that had a bad time drastically increased their dose of psilocybin, and they had a bad time, basically. Okay. The majority of participants indicated that their emotional state before taking psilocybin, the physical comfort and safety, 76%. Let's see. Indicated that their emotional state before taking psilocybin, the physical comfort and safety of the surroundings, and the social support and trust for others during the session were conducive to a positive experience. So those being comfortable, not being at a party, not being at a fucking rave where there's a bunch of crazy people coming up to you trying to rape you or whatever. That's really fucking important. And my preference is to be completely alone, have people leave me completely alone.
So can the mood and activity and attitude of others, like in a crowd or whatever, affect
Really,
you while you're on?
really fuck you up. Yeah.
Okay. I was just
Yeah.
wondering because people taking advantage of you while you're impaired is one thing, but just them being able to influence you, maybe you're more suggestible or something like that would be something to really watch out for.
Yeah, one of the acid trips back in the 70s, right? We did Blue Easter Egg, which was 1,300 microgram acid, which is way beyond anything anybody should ever think of taking. 200 micrograms is a hell of a trip. 1,300 micrograms is out of this universe. We were walking around the street in Virginia, Minnesota, and this little old lady comes running up to me, gets right in my face, and starts screaming at me like, I don't know what the fuck. Just like she was obviously mentally ill. And we all sat there just watching her, and we were all looking at each other. And then after she left, we were like, did that really happen? It was
Wow.
like, but other than that, she didn't disturb me a bit. It was like, okay, this is an interesting phenomena. I don't know what this screaming creature in front of me is or whatever. But anyway, okay. So where are we at here? Some 53% and 19% respectively reported using cannabis or alcohol immediately before or during their chosen challenging psilocybin session. There you go. You don't mix those things. 59% reported having serious intention, psychological or spiritual exploration for their session. 73% covered or closed their eyes for some length of time during the session. Now, when you close your eyes, you start to completely lose control. If you open your eyes and you start walking around the room or you go into a familiar environment like the woods, you immediately settle down to, oh, hey, I just feel like I'm experiencing stuff at a heavy level, but I'm me and I'm normal. Your ego kind of comes back to you at some point. So you can always ground yourself by opening your eyes and basically grasping onto something. But if you basically close your eyes for a long period of time, you will go to places that you do not recognize as being a part of your life or the universe or anything. And it becomes very, very scary sometimes. The majority of participants, 62%, considered the experience to be among the top 10 most psychologically difficult or challenging experiences of their lives, of their entire lives. Despite that psychological challenge, 34 and 31% rated this same session to be among the top 5, including single most personally meaningful and spiritually significant, respectively. So even though it was like one of the worst experiences or the most challenging experience of their life, 1/3 of them thought it was the most useful experience of their life at the same time, which is kind of an odd thing, right? And I would concur with that. My experience has not been pleasant. It's been emotionally exhausting. It's been frightening. It's been not fun. Not fun at all. I wouldn't describe it as fun. Although most of the participants, 76% reported that experiences during the psilocybin session led to increases in current well-being and life satisfaction. Did it? 76%? 8% reported that the chosen challenging experience resulted in a decrease in their sense of well-being or life satisfaction, slightly or greater. Okay. So there's 8% that of this survey, and that's not 8% of psilocybin trips, right? That's 8% of the people that responded to this negative experience survey. Almost half endorsed that they would want to repeat their chosen session and all that had happened in it, including the difficult or challenging portions. Now, isn't that interesting? Even though it was horrible, half of them would repeat it, do it again. So
That's strange. Maybe it's what explains why people like those horror movies or roller coaster rides indoors in like a haunted house situation.
Well, it's why people climb Mount Everest. So if you would not go out and climb Mount Everest, stay the fuck away from psychedelics. Because That's the equivalent, right? If you don't have some really good reason to do this, a really good purpose in your life, it's not something that you should casually approach. It's something that you should.
Yeah, I can see that if you don't have a targeted reason, that you're trying to accomplish something, why are you doing it other than, I guess, just for the feeling?
Yeah, why would you melt your brain, your ego, your life, your entire life experience, and your personality if you didn't have a reason, if you didn't have a good reason to do it? So, having a guide present was significantly negatively correlated with the duration of the difficult experience, but not with the degree of difficulty. In other words, having a guide talk them down sooner, but did not reduce the difficulties. I hate roller coaster and horror movies, but I like psychedelics. Peter W. There you go. Yeah, God, I don't want to shit on this thing too much. I just want people to really understand that I'm not condoning their use of it. I condone it for myself because I am trying to do something particular and significant in my life, and this is my choice tool. And my therapist is probably the biggest part of that tool. So
why don't you just turn to Jesus?
Nope.
Okay, because I can hear that as kind of a retort of the right wingers. Just turn to Jesus. He'll change you. He'll change you from the inside.
Yeah. Do we want to do it now, James?
So yeah, this represents the idea, right? Like burning your own life down with psychedelics, but being pretty happy with it.
Oh my God! Did she set the fire?
No regrets. That's the implication. Yeah, no regrets.
I think so. I think so. She's going to be have her own documentary someday.
Oh my goodness! Such an innocent-looking little thing, except for those fucking eyes and that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good representation of what you're talking about. Like,
thank
hey,
you.
There we go.
Perfect. Andrew Cumming is asking an important question of our side chat.
What is it? Oh, I haven't looked at chat at all. God, hi guys.
Look at the screen.
Hi, Carol.
Yeah.
Oh. Is everyone
Peter W. and Jason?
Well, well, it's a good question. Ask everybody. Everybody, tell us what we should. I
have not. I used to be a Christian, which I think is comparable, but I've not done psychedelics. Yeah. So I've just had the Jesus juice. We've got Peter W., Jason Jacoby. Who else we got in the house? Ricky Johnson, and who else we got?
By the way, I just in the private chat I put a link to something that just came up in my feed on YouTube. I'm going to check out later, but I thought I might as well put it out there, and I put it in the side chat. A Seinfeld-like AI sitcom becomes self-aware. So it's on the channel I'm looking at for that is the Rational National, but it's all over the YouTube verse. But I don't know what there is to it. But anyway, that looks like an interesting concept there.
We do have to check that out. Okay.
I like it. And so
go ahead.
I just wanted to finish giving shout outs to Andrew Cumming, Nerdy Rodent, Willie Ignorant, KCA Randy in the house. Who else we got? I don't want to miss anybody. Once you start naming names.
David's here.
Carol the Atheist. We got David in the house. Well, that's awesome. And Melody Joy. And I'm scrolling up and up and
Carol's done LSD 10 times in teens and early 20s. I did it about 100 times. I thought mushrooms are a little tougher, a little harder to, a little less fun than LSD, except for mescaline, which is different from I think it's from a cactus, right? That was a fairly pleasant, easy experience, but psilocybin, I'm not entirely sure what's up with psilocybin, or it's my age, one or the other. So I don't know. But LSD seems to be more of a good time, overall. But then high doses of LSD can also really fuck you up totally for a couple hours to where you don't know which end is up. So anyway.
Now with LSD, I used to hear about this that you could take it, when you're 20, but when you're 30 or 40, even if you've never taken any LSD since, it could kind of come back, and you could get you could get hallucinations and stuff, even without taking LSD.
I think they mentioned that in this paper, but I think the amount of cases where that actually happened or was proven were something like 0 or 1 or something, or that was the Nixon administration pumping bullshit into the news media.
Right. It might be complete bullshit. Theoretically, you could ingest some kind of substance that, like, if it gets trapped in like fat cells, for example, and then
that's what I heard.
And then later on, you're exercising or whatever other reason you're losing weight, and those fat cells, get converted into effectively gases, right? And then you exhale a lot of it and you pass through the rest of it. It can release whatever chemicals were trapped in the fat cell, but that there's only certain things that can get trapped that way, and I have no idea
It would be pretty
psilocybin is one of
There
those
used to
or
be
not.
I think there used to be a name for that, that delayed
flashbacks.
Flashback. Okay, yeah. All right.
Okay. So now I thought I was having flashbacks when I was in my 20s. And what would happen is, like, I'd walk, like, if somebody drove a red car into my yard and I walked up to the car and I saw the red under the sun, I felt like my entire brain got hit and melted down, and I thought they were flashbacks. Well, I later found out by talking to a whole bunch of people that suffer from severe ADHD that's an ADHD symptom, that you can have a mini seizure, and it makes you extremely socially, you melt down. You can't, if you're in a social function, like if you walk into a room and there's a bunch of people that you didn't expect there, you can have like a brain slap. And if you're extremely ADHD, it'll just fuck you all up. It's almost, and it feels a little bit like psychedelics. But I later found out it had nothing to do at all with my LSD experiences. But I think flashbacks are, the evidence to support them is almost nil. So that's bullshit. And they had a whole bunch of fucking bullshit that they were putting out in the news back when I was in my 20s. And yeah, Andrew, don't do drugs, kids, especially kids. Yeah, the thing I said yesterday about kids shouldn't do this, your brain hasn't wired yet, so don't be rewiring it until you at least figure out, unless you arrive at one wiring. You got to get it wired before you start rewiring. Otherwise, you're going to have a fucking mess on the floor, right? Anyway, okay, paper. The majority of the participants reported that the social support and trust for others physically present, 65%, physical comfort, safety, and surroundings, 75%, emotional state, 76%, before taking psilocybin was conducive to having a positive. Oh, I already read that, didn't I? Okay. How much have I read of this? Okay, the review provided evidence of both increased suicidality, 5 cases, and decreased suicidality, 6 cases. Is that a word? One individual who had pre-existing anxiety, depression, and suicidal planning reported purposely attempting suicide by overdosing with benzodiazepines and subsequently waking up in intensive care medical unit. Another respondent reported unsuccessfully trying to shoot himself in the head. Unsuccessfully, he missed.
Right, talking about stormtrooper aim.
It's like I'm really fucking stoned, but I'm going to try to shoot my head, but I don't know where my head is. I missed it. Oh, fuck. Anyway, I killed the cat. Anyway, that's funny, but pretty dark subject to be laughing at. Let's see, a third respondent reported that pre-existing serious depression was exacerbated by psilocybin experience that later resulted in a suicide attempt. 2 other individuals reported salient suicidal thoughts during their psilocybin experience. I have those all the time. In contrast, 6 respondents reported that pre-existing suicidal thoughts, including depression in 5 cases, fully remitted after taking psilocybin. So it's a little of this and a little of that, right? 6 said they got better, and 5 said they wanted to kill themselves.
So it's about 50-50 then. You 50-50, you make it better, you make it worse.
Yeah, flip a coin. But I frequently think about suicide in my life and on psilocybin, and I have a relationship with it all through my life, and I know, and I think a lot of people do. It's kind of that feeling when you're up on a high building. It's like, oh God, I could jump. You know.
Well, I would say if you're going into psychedelic experience, and even if you're not going into psychedelic experience, if you're having suicidal ideations today, get a hold of a therapist.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And then find out their friendliness towards the drugs, and then get some sort of release or something to use the psychedelics. I don't know what would have to take place for you to be ready to take psilocybin after you've had suicidal ideations. Like, do you have to be without them for 6 months or whatever? But seek help. If you've got any kind of suicidal ideations today, seek help, no matter what medication or pharmacology you're pursuing.
Right.
I don't know. What if I've had them all my life, and they're a constant background for me? I don't know. But anyway, that's another subject, and maybe a deeper subject. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
19.3. Yeah, if you're at the planning stage of suicide, you need fucking help. And suicide is not help. Yet there's help for that sort of thing, and I've been through a bit of that in my life too, where I finally reached out or basically ended up in an emergency room, and I was given help. And the next day I was like, what the fuck was I thinking? I almost died from it. And it's like because life just keeps changing every fucking day, and you don't want to play God, Anyway.
Well, not in that way.
We're probably gonna get a warning from this. 19.3% endorsed that they had sought treatment for at least one of 5 negative psychological symptoms: fear, anxiety, depression, paranoia, and other, before their chosen session, in which they did attribute to having taken psilocybin or some other hallucinogen. So some people have had trouble with this. Some 10% of the 1,339 participants reported no psychological symptoms lasting greater than 12 months after the challenging session. That's 10%.
Yeah.
What else we got here? We're almost at the end. 3 cases in which a challenging experience with psilocybin was reported to be associated with the onset of enduring and impairing psychotic symptoms. All 3 were white males over 18 and 21 years old. Too young, probably. Let's see. None of the 3 reported having psychotic symptoms before the experience. The second described severe depersonalization, very disturbing visual hallucinations, and extreme confusion. The individual subsequently started taking unspecified antipsychotic drugs and later received a diagnosis of schizophrenia. The third individual reported paranoid agoraphobia, severe social withdrawal, mental confusion, and also reported that he had received the diagnosis of bipolar disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder. So, what the fuck? We kind of got a spammer here. This guy keeps spamming my messages. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, it's a bot that's responding to the words in the title.
Okay. That's what I'm getting. Anyway.
Yeah.
So let's see. Discussion. What do we go here? Sometimes described as catharsis. Oh, there's more. This finding suggests that therapeutic interventions during a challenging experience should be preferentially aimed at reducing the duration rather than the peak difficulty. In other words, you're going to have a bad time, but we can, limit how long it lasts. This finding is consistent with laboratory studies showing that the frequency of challenging experiences increase at higher psilocybin doses. So high doses, obviously. Take a high dose of alcohol and it can really fuck you up. Although no volunteer has been physically harmed during sessions, there were 3 instances, 0.9%, in which a participant's disorientation during a session might have put them or staff at risk if the appropriate supervision has not been provided. That's falling down or thrashing around or becoming, aggressive or whatever. Let's see. A volunteer became confused and disoriented when in the restroom, so they changed their procedure so they would actually stand right outside the restroom and keep checking on the guy. In the first case, 1 week after a session, the volunteer reported feeling anxious after experiencing physical symptoms consistent with a heart attack. That sounds like every day of my life. In the third case, anxiety, constantly. In the third case, the volunteer reported that the psilocybin session experiences was dominated by negative emotions such as sadness and fear. I concur. Sadness and fear you will feel. Some 36% of the survey respondents indicated it took a lot. Oh, I already covered that, didn't I? In conclusion, the survey of almost 2,000 people showed that psychologically difficult experiences after taking psilocybin mushrooms can include acute psychological distress, dangerous behavior, and enduring psychological problems. So, there you go. In other words, some serious shit. Don't fuck around with shit that you don't understand or don't know what don't quite know what you're doing. So, okay,
The
so
more information, the better.
Yeah, so what happens to me on a high dose, on a heroic dose, as Kafai would put, right? Number one, I never saw Jesus or God. A couple of times I wished he would show up and fucking give me a hand. But normally, depending on how you create the dose, or basically how the drug enters your system, you will start to feel effects within 15 minutes. The very first effects I feel is difficulty breathing. Because I have COPD, I become very aware of my breathing. And what I do is I check my oxygen levels, and I found them to be at 100, indicating that I'm hyperventilating, right? And then I get through that part, and I start to become anxious about my children, about losing my kids. The next thing that hits me is my daughter and what happened to her. And all of these things hit within the first probably half hour to 45 minutes. At close to 1 hour, I sort of start losing control of being a thing that could think about stuff or feel stuff. So complete ego dissolution. And I tend to moderate by putting on headphones and listening to music, which immediately puts me in a better trend. If I'm having a bad time, if I start listening to music, it alleviates. Okay. If I close my eyes and something starts to disturb me, or I start to feel like I don't know what the fuck's going on, if I open my eyes and walk around the room a little bit, I come back to normal and I feel fine. But all of these things you learn, like I learned when I did 100 LSD trips in my youth. And it's almost like you learn how to have that experience without screwing yourself up too badly. But like, who would want to do that? I mean, who would want to go through that hour and a half of shell shock, emotional, fucking head blasting, fucking personality in pieces on the table, unless you had a really good reason to do it? Unless you want to create something positive and you know what you're doing. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What have I given this enough pros and cons? That I've been fair.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Have I talked all of you out of doing it?
I think done it anyway, but I don't know if somebody happens to send me some some mushrooms, I might try them. I don't know.
Yeah. Orange slices and fetal spooning. Is that a good method?
It's worth a try, depending on who you're spooning with.
Yeah, the most important thing to remember is to aware of. Well, then, okay, after you go through that hour and a half cleansing thing, you experience a point where, like, okay, my big thing is grief, and grief over basically 4 individuals in particular that I spent my entire youth with, and they're all dead and I'm not. And I went through this phase afterwards where I faced that grief so fully that I started to cry like a baby, and then I started to laugh like an idiot because all of a sudden I could see a greater perspective about life and death and the universe and my story and my personal story. And at some point, all of these ghosts that have been walking around and pulling at me for the first one died 13 years ago, I think. They all became sort of my friends. And I told my friends to leave me the fuck alone, basically, unless I invite you in. And I do invite them in, pretty often. So I dealt with kind of a major life event by fully immersing in it and feeling as bad as I possibly could feel. My sponsor told me there's an AA story he heard about a guy that had some really bad experience, and he told the story often enough that the story had lost its power over him. So part of dealing with trauma and stress ineffectively, I think, is running away from it rather than immersing fully in it. And it's very difficult to immerse yourself fully in it. Your brain and your body will push things away so quickly that you just meter yourself little doses of grief, and it just fucking makes you miserable for months and months and months, rather than let it in. Let me in. What is that vampire movie? Let Me In. Right. That's kind of the thing. I don't know. What do you think of that? Immersing
in the things you hide from, in your traumas.
Yeah, basically, like, okay, if you have something really horrible happen to you, it meters itself into your brain, and you keep pushing it away. You have all these shock responses that tend to not feel the experience. And if it's a traumatic enough experience, it can fuck your life up for years by just metering a little dose every day. It's like taking a dose of fuck me over, every day. It's like if they had a psychotropic drug called fuck me, it's like taking a dose of fuck me every day, for years, rather than just getting it over with.
Yeah. So I mean, as somebody with PTSD, I can tell you that I have immersed myself in my traumas quite regularly, writing about them, dwelling about them, thinking about them, streaming about them, and sometimes even in therapy talking about them. And so I haven't ran from them. I've met them head on. Even with the people that caused the traumas, I've made myself available to have discussions with them to work through it there in case, there's any growth or closure to be had there. And, people that cause traumas never want to have discussions, right? Because they know what they did. They know who they are. They know. Like, they don't want to be answerable to it, so they'll just walk away and make themselves unavailable. That's how it works. So I don't know. There's probably a balance to be had that immersing yourself and living in your traumas isn't good if you've got PTSD, but if running from them, hiding from them isn't good either, right? Where the balance is, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
So, Andrew, I'm trying to find that video. What is the name of it? Video to me is still listed in videos. Let's see. Andrew. I don't know what video you're talking about. Andrew Cummings' misdirected paper, taking back what I said about him. Recent and featured shows. I don't know. So I can't seem to find it on my end. So, do you know the name of the paper or the video?
Andrew's attitude.
Oh, there he is. The old
Oof.
move. Ooh, trigger. Anyway.
Trigger.
Yep. Anyway, I listed this, the name, title, and the author of this paper in the description. Now, the other one I wanted to find is where Johns Hopkins and their mystical experience slanted toward woo, which was really bad. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't like Roland Griffiths until I recently listened to an interview with him. And I have an entirely different impression of Roland Griffiths now. He's not as woo as I thought. I think he's actually, now that he's dying, I think he actually settled down, and he's not a theist. He doesn't seem particularly woo oriented, but God, when him and Richards went out and talked, the talks at Kafai Links, they sounded like they were really woo heads, right? Like they really thought they'd found God in mushrooms or something. But I have a different impression of him after listening to an interview of him. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, Andrew, I found a video called Andrew Cummings' Misdirected Papers. Is that the one? Has he responded to me? Should have my name in the title. No, we can't find anything with your name in the title. Your name, Andrew Cumming, or your name, Rational Empiricist? There's two different things. I wonder if I downloaded that one. Anyway.
So we got women in chat showing support and love for each other, and I love seeing that.
Where?
Much love to the women. Much love to the women.
Yeah. Yep, I got to pay more attention to my chat. You pay a lot of really good attention to your chat.
Yeah, I'm in the habit of that. Lori Hayes just lost someone, as I understand it. So condolences for that. That was my understanding.
Oh no, David. What the hell? Should we open this up?
Yeah, if anybody has some experiences or thoughts.
You want me to put a link out there?
Yeah, and pin, and I'll pin it. Let's see. Okay. I'm trying to find. Let's see. YouTube watch. Open link in new tab. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Andrew Cummings' Misdirected Papers. It does have your name in it. So I think we found it. Oh, let's see. Turn this on. Did you put the link out there? Nope, not yet. Oh, yeah, you did.
Mine's not catching up very well. The screen's not. But
now, back to my experience with this shit, with the psychotherapy aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
What I've been able to do is, and it's kind of hard to describe because it's an experience we don't ordinarily have. I've been able to find what I call the pieces of me. And it's like it's like I am not some integrated thing other than this body and what this body does. I mean, I have a lot of like memories floating around and beliefs and parts of my personality. And what I've been able to do is I've been able to individually take some of them out and look at them and start reframing my relationship with them. You were talking about your relationship with God, weren't you, James, yesterday?
Relationship with, go ahead.
A person's relationship with what they call God. In other words, every person has a unique relationship with what they call God.
They do. Every theist.
Right. Okay, so it's the same with these parts of me or these pieces of me. The things that I think constitute who I am, the things I believe are me, my selfhood, whatever. For some reason, this psychedelic therapy has allowed me to separate those things from me and evaluate them very clearly and start looking at them and start looking at various things that I believe about myself and then saying, hey, I don't like that. I'm getting rid of that. and then completely almost throwing it away all at once,
Wow.
and being able to extract that part of myself. And that's pretty fucking powerful. That's what psychotherapy is all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but it's odd because you can actually geometrically see these fucking things out, like they're like they're artifact or a cartoon character in a Disney film. And you can start to look at it, and then you can find out all kinds of stuff about attitudes that you have that underlie some of your behaviors. And you get to say, that's stupid. I'm not going to think that way anymore. I'm not going to be like that anymore. I reject this. I reject this.
Wow.
And it was, yeah, and that is fucking nice. I mean, that is a real powerful thing. And that's my goal. My goal is to clean my life and myself of all of those demons and ghosts and bats and vampires that have been sucking at my soul for 72 fucking years, right?
Right.
Just get rid of them and become cleansed, of my past dysfunction, the things that have been imprinted in my mind, because mind printing is nothing more than strengthened synaptic connections, and I can change them. So,
right,
kind of where I'm at. So that's when I say I'm changing, and I don't know what I'm going to change into, and I don't particularly care. I do care that it's a cleansed me. I do care that I clean myself, not dirty myself, right? I don't want to pick up stupid ideas like Trump or bigoted bullshit or whatever, just fucking flush it out. Anyway.
Sure.
Whole bunch of people pulling into the studio. What? James?
It makes me wonder if any theist people have ever had an experience where the God character within their mind operates externally to them in their perceptions, to where it shows up as a person or a character or something that they have a conversation with, and where they get to evaluate the nature of that relationship paradigm and reassess it. I wonder if that's ever happened.
You mean have an imaginary conversation with them?
Well, I mean, God is a conceptualized figure within the mind already. It's it's a partitioned part of the mind where the person thinks it's another entity, but really it's this conceptualization that lives and breathes and thinks and feels within their mind, that has grown within their mind, that lives within their mind. It is part of their own psyche, but they don't recognize it as such. And so I'm wondering, sorry, theists, that's just how it is. I am wondering if anybody has had one of these trips on mushrooms where that entity took some kind of visible form and they were able to have a conversation with that and then reevaluate from there.
Yeah, that's no different than a dead loved one. The idea that there's a God, there's this entity that you can talk to, and some people will talk to dead loved ones.
Yeah,
and I do, and I strongly recommend it. And I strongly recommend praying to the universe too, if you want, if you want to straighten something out. But it's a whole. But you have to understand that you're having a relationship with something a figment of your imagination.
Sure.
And figments of your imagination get a lot of bad press. They're actually not bad things as long as you know them, right? As long as you don't let them operate you.
Right. As long as they're not causing you distress or causing you to behave badly, then you're good. Yeah. And so Peter W. says, or God exists. And I'm like, God does exist as a figure that exists within your mind, built from parts of your lived experiences, right? So yes, that entity exists and you have a relationship. It is a living, breathing entity. It exists, but it's not external to you. It is unique and specific to you, and it lives within your mind alone. So does it exist? Sure, in a sense it does.
So, Scott, that War of the Worlds, the Interactionist God song.
That song,
yeah.
An interventionist God.
Interventionist, yeah.
But let's see, then he says, but if you could intervene, I wouldn't want you to because, or I wouldn't want him to because you know, talking about the lady love or whatever that he has are perfect already.
Right.
Pretty cool song.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they would choose to play that to aliens.
To what?
To aliens.
Oh, aliens, right. I know. Yeah, here it is. I don't believe in an interventionist God, but I know, darling, that you do. But if I did, I would kneel down and ask him not to intervene when it came to you, not to touch a hair on your head, to leave you as you are. And if he felt he had to direct you, then direct you into my arms. That's Nick Cave in the Bad Seeds. It was really
Oh, it was a Nick Cave one? Okay, I like Nick Cave.
Yeah.
I didn't know he did that song. It was kind of sounding like, who's the guy who did Hallelujah? I can't remember his name. The singer. He's Jewish.
I mean, lots of people have sang Hallelujah.
Well, you know, Hallelujah.
Oh,
we
yeah.
know the song.
I think I know what you mean. Well, I don't believe in the existence of
Leonard Cohen. Thank you, Jason Jacoby.
Oh, awesome.
He kind of reminded me of Leonard Cohen.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
same kind of
Nick
voice.
Cave. Yeah.
Same kind of voice, yeah.
But yeah, that's a good series. I got through the first season, and I can't believe I hadn't heard of it before, or that it wasn't more popular.
Get your ass in here, Gur, so we can hand you your ass.
Do we have a girl here? Girl, get in here.
We do.
Or anybody else, it's pinned. It's pinned up at the top of the chat. So come and join us. Let us know your opinions about things. Do you think that Speed is way off about his opinions in the area of psilocybin and psychedelic experience?
What is my opinion? What is my opinion?
I don't know what your opinion is. I mean, it just seems mostly facts to me. Like, here's how it could go, and here's how it might go, and you know, here's what the studies say, and you're taking a risk, and proceed with caution if you proceed at all. And you know, it's just the whole stream is just one big disclaimer. So
yeah,
well, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I don't think I put forth an opinion about what other people should do.
Gur is in the studio.
The only opinion.
Hello.
The only opinion I have is what my personal experience is with it, and I don't recommend anything about my personal experience to anybody. That's what I'm trying to make clear. I'm
glad you're sharing your story.
Really?
Yeah, I've tried to encourage you to share it before, or one of many of your stories. But
I'm a little concerned about. Okay, I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic. Okay.
And an atheist.
And I'm and basically I've entered into a therapy with a professional that involves taking a drug, which is psychedelics, which do not, even in this paper, they say that they do not have the characteristics of addictive drugs. None of the psychedelics do. Oh, marijuana is the only one that comes close to having addictive characteristics. And so it's a real difficult thing to make public because you're going to be judged, right? I'm going to get some back from. In fact, Cel Cordova is going to be, blasting this all over the fucking place. It's like
probably, hopefully.
But the thing is that it has been such a powerful influence on my life in these last months that I think I need to talk about it.
There seems to me to be a pretty decent size study on psychedelics that have shown tremendous benefits. Now, I have tried some, what I would say would be quasi psychedelics, and I did not have a good experience, but that's just my own. I also can't seem to do anything with THC in it because it just turns me, it gives me psychosis, but that's just been my experience. That's not everybody's experience.
It turns me into a social anxiety monster, THC.
Yeah, so it's not for me, but others get tremendous benefits from it.
So what symptoms do you have when you just describe yourself as having psychosis?
Yeah,
how does that manifest itself?
I had to look it up. I had to Googled my symptoms, and it basically what was happening was after I hit a Delta 8, which is legally derived THC from hemp, and I thought the TV was talking to me. I thought the music I was listening to, I thought it was speaking directly to me and about me, like the whole world was out to get me, and even these characters on TV were talking about me, and it was frightening. And I also had a panic attack. Happened twice.
Gur,
Wow.
you didn't know that before you smoked dope? You didn't know that was the case?
Wait, you mean everybody gets that?
Really? Yeah, we've all been talking about you and thinking, and
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
It confirmed my paranoia.
You finally figured it out?
I knew it all along.
Yeah, exactly.
It just took the THC to know for sure.
Yeah, well,
I was listening. Go ahead.
Oh, the fucking thing about what they're doing with THC now, they're really fucking with a lot of different alkaloids and a lot of different mixtures. When I smoked marijuana back in the 60s, when you could buy it for $10 an ounce,
It's a good
we had a really good time. We got the munchies. We laughed. We rolled on the floor. We got interested in things, and we didn't get a whole lot of anxiety and paranoia. Well, and I got a feeling that some of the cocktails they're putting together are not particularly good for your brain.
What's funny is the first time that I had this experience, I had Taco Bell in the kitchen waiting for me. And so I was like, maybe I need to eat. And so I went to go get my bean burrito. As soon as I took a bite, I thought, wait a second, they put beef in this because I'm allergic to beef. And so I immediately spit it out. I said, no, the people at Taco Bell, they're trying to kill me with inserting beef into my bean burrito. And again, that was just my experience. I still support legalization of all drugs, or at minimum decriminalization. But yeah, it's just not good for me.
I have a confession. I was looking for a hitman to get rid of you, and
I knew that's what you were going to say.
Taco Bell called. They're the only ones that responded to the ad, so I gave them $5,000.
Yeah. Did you describe me as a guy with a tattoo of a red tattoo on his forehead that says GRR? Yeah.
With big sunglasses.
He has big staticky sunglasses. Put beef in that guy's burrito.
Yep, they went for it. Apparently, it almost got you, but they missed it.
I even the second time that this happened, which was like 2 months later, I think, I thought, okay, I've got to calm myself down. So I put on Penguins of Madagascar on Netflix, and I swear to God, those penguins were talking about me.
Oh, no.
In hindsight, it's really funny, but boy, when I was in the middle of this experience, it was so frightening.
Penguins are such disrespectful motherfuckers. I tell you why.
Hey, it could be worse. I guess it could be raccoons.
People. Okay, I'm not calling you a narcissist, but anyway, I'm dealing with a person that's somewhat having some real bad mental problems, and this person is a narcissist. But this person is not a self-promoting narcissist. This person is a basically
deprecating.
Yeah, I had the word backwards in my mind. Self-deprecating narcissist, right? This person is like, and that's also like, it's a form of ego to think that everybody's talking about you.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and there's something and there's something about getting rid of putting ourselves in balance, as to what we really are in our lives, because I think most humans have they overthink themselves, right? So we overthink ourselves, and it causes us, it doesn't cause us a lot of, pleasure like one would think of a person that's promoting themselves, right? It's not like that. It's the opposite of that. We tend to fuck ourselves up by being too self-oriented.
Well, I was very self-oriented.
I didn't get that.
Shut up, Siri. See? Siri is...
Siri's talking about us.
Yeah, Siri's talking about you. She's making fun of you.
Siri's like, stop being a little bitch.
I don't know.
Or was that Alexa?
Siri says it's not a problem.
What does she know? Hey, I was working on some AI art last night because I had nothing going on, and I found this really cool website, and it allows you to that you can prompt it 100 times, so you'll get 100 different photos. Pretty cool stuff. I did one which was Muhammad arm wrestling Jesus, and I might have to show that on my next stream.
Are you paying for that?
No, it's the first 100 images is free.
Oh, is that?
I just have to find the website again.
What's the name of that one? Yeah, because I think
I think it's IMG Creator is the name of the one.
They give me free points every day, but I wasn't too impressed with what they came up with. I don't know. Maybe I didn't give it enough details.
Well, that's the key. Give it as many details as you can, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I might make my next thumbnail for my next video a AI type of thing. I think AI is awesome, and I get that it's relatively new, so a lot of people are kind of worried about it. But I think that's every time we have a social evolution, people get nervous. The internet, oh, that's gonna be the end of the world. Nope, it's not. It's made the world better.
Yeah, I agree.
Tribalistic mindsets, but other than that, yeah.
My worry about AI is that it's going to amount to the haves and the have-nots when they monetize it, and that if it's out of the reach of most people, then it's going to create a greater gap between the haves and the have-nots. Who do we have in the studio on the bottom? Oh, Dave. Hi, Dave.
How are you? Can you
Hey,
hear me
good.
all right?
How are you?
Hey, did you take the car?
David, good to have you aboard.
David, did you
Yes,
did
sir.
you get the garbage and put it in your car?
Yeah, I did. Got it
gotta
out
take
of the
my-
garage too.
I gotta get my
I
garbage.
parked
Put it in my
the
car.
car in the garage.
You ever listen to car talk?
Yep.
God, that sounded really southern, even though I was trying to sound Yankee.
So how is everybody?
Fucking great.
Yeah, good.
Some
like
might
that.
say great.
Great, yeah.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
I'm fighting
send you.
off
I
I'm
was
fighting
gonna.
off a migraine.
Yeah,
Dave?
I was gonna send you an email. I don't know, probably a couple of weeks ago, I think. So, our buddy Joel made an appearance, and I know we like to make fun of him a little bit. So, he was on a stream with what's his name? Richard. What's Richard's?
Madsen?
Yeah,
Richard
Madsen.
Madsen?
Yeah, I think he jumps into
No.
his streams here and there, and he
No
was on
shit.
that just recently. I think it was about a week or two ago. Yeah.
Can you find
he's always
find a link?
interesting to listen to. Yeah, I'll send it to you. Yeah. Oh, actually.
Oh yeah,
I'll
Joel
post
sightings are really precious around here. We love that.
Oh yeah,
Really.
yeah. I mean, I
Yes.
saw it. I was gonna just send it to you. It's a really long video. It's a live stream. They're just sitting, shooting the breeze, and
Talking about
but of course
cats.
you can scan through it and see where Joel gets in, and then he battled. I can't remember. Like I said, it was like 2 weeks ago. So he got in a big argument with somebody. I can't remember who the hell it was, but you know how he is. He gets so defensive, and he starts really battling with some people.
Dicks
Who does?
in.
And he just says you know how he just says the stupidest ass shit. Oh, you know what? You know who was in there too? Rage was in there, right? And what I thought was kind of hilarious was Rage was actually calling him, or I think Rage is under the impression that he's got a doctorate degree.
Oh
And
no.
Oh yeah, he was saying that. Rage was saying that to him, and let me tell you, of course Joel didn't correct him on that, and we all know Joel does not have a doctorate degree.
No, he's a
Right?
second-rate fucking web programmer or something.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, and and Rage said that to him, and of course Joel didn't say anything. He didn't say, "Oh, wait a minute, I don't have a doctorate degree." You would think somebody would say that, or a normal person would if you don't have one, right? But
I wouldn't, to be fair.
Not Joel, boy. He went right along with it. Oh, I thought that was funny.
You know who he reminds me of? George Santos, as far as telling lies about his professional life.
Yeah,
He's pretty similar. So
Is he a drag queen?
he probably was a drag queen at some point too. I don't know.
I don't know this Joel person. I don't think.
You don't know Joel?
I don't think I do,
he's
but
a-
I don't.
Okay,
know.
SFB mod. It's
Yeah.
SFB.
Oh, that I've seen that username, but I'm
Yeah.
not too familiar.
Oh my God, he is just. I mean, he is. He's developed rockets and fucking launched rockets, and he's hobnobbing with what the fuck's his name? From
Musk,
Tesla?
Elon
Musk.
Musk.
Yeah, fucking personal friend with Musk, and all. Just
Oh,
he
yeah.
implies
He
this
sounds
all
like
kinds
Von
of-
Helton.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. He did work for SpaceX, but as far as I could tell from, I happen to have his resume. It was more like laying Ethernet cable or something like that.
Yeah, he was a janitor. He swept the floors.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's what you could say. Yeah, I work for Elon Musk. Oh, what do you do? Build rockets? Nah, I take out the garbage.
Yeah. Well, there's an example of narcissism. People that lie just continually about who they are and what they've done.
What I hate is when people brag about how humble they are. Like, I think I'm the most humble person on the planet. But
You?
I hate it when people brag about being humble.
Yeah,
I have no ego. I'm just the best at everything that I do, and I'm better than everyone. But I'm humble about it.
I'm far more
Lord,
humble.
it's hard to be
than you.
humble when you're perfect in every way.
So
really,
true. Hashtag relatable.
really
Can't
pisses
wait
me
to
off.
look in the mirror. I get better looking each day.
Really pisses me off to hear you claim you're more humbler than me.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. It's a brute fact. I'm the most humble person and also the most intelligent person. I don't know. I'm just good like
I'm
that.
humblest. And humblest.
All right, I'm over at Richard's, his YouTube channel. I'm trying to find it. I think I have the right one. Do you want me to just post
Give me
it?
a
Let me.
link.
I'll double check and I'll throw the link in the chat. Got to make sure it's the right one, but.
Dave, where are you at these days? I never see you anywhere.
Yeah, I have a lousy schedule. I'm working at night now, so I'm overnight a lot. So, my schedule kind of isn't that great for, live stuff. Most of the time people are live when I'm sleeping, basically.
I see. Well, does anyone here miss LPP? Because I haven't seen him in a while.
He's been gone in. Another one that's been kind of missing is Cordova. He's involved in that legal battle with the church, and I think he's. Who knows? They probably sent out somebody to fucking give him a bad Taco Bell.
Again.
Yeah, again.
That's your attack mode.
Yeah. Attack would
poison this guy's burrito. I'll give you 50 shekels.
Yeah. So Taco Bell tacos, they're surprisingly edible, but I mean they got like this little, like if you were really stingy and you were laying out a line of cocaine, like they had this little line of beef in them, that you could practically snort, and then they got a lot of lettuce, and then like a big taco shell, and they're kind of floppy.
Grud, does it make you feel sick to talk about beef because you're allergic to it?
No, it's weird. I'll watch videos on how to cook like the perfect steak, even though I can't even eat it. I'm just like, wow, that looks so good. But I can't.
Sounds like torture.
It would have been if I just became allergic to it, but I've been allergic now for 15 years or more, so I'm kind of used to it.
So this guy on this video that cooked a ribeye steak or a porterhouse steak or something, he set up these concrete blocks and he put some kind of super fucking gas torch in the middle of it. And then he had a metal, like a big, thick metal plate on it. And he heated it up until it was red hot. Like, I think it was like 1600 degrees or something like that, he said. And then he threw his steak on there for like 30 seconds on each side. And that's how you make a good steak.
All right,
Sounds
Speed.
unique.
I threw that link in the private chat. Tell me if you got it there.
Okay.
Yeah, Richard Madsen, gmail.com, Demolish Doctrine.
Yeah. It's a
2
really
hours and 15 minutes.
I thought it was like, isn't it longer than that? No, it's 8 hours.
Yeah, I know.
Actually,
Oh,
I just
wow.
mean, like,
And just
why
through
are
his
we
own
here?
scientific
This
background.
story is amazing. A Seinfeld style
Oh, shit.
AI
What's happening?
based Twitch show.
Sorry, guys.
What is happening? There's something happening here.
Well,
What
when I
it
clicked
is
on the link,
isn't very clear.
Somebody hit that story about the AI that became self-aware. I don't know if I hit it or somebody else did.
I don't know.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
God.
this Richard Madsen stream actually eventually joined it, like at some
Yeah.
point. But with that many people on the panel, like I didn't get a chance to say much.
Well,
Yeah,
that's go ahead, Dave.
it's a really long. It's like 8 hours long, but obviously, if you scan through it, you can see, where Joel is in there, and Speed. You'd have to go through it. I don't know if you'd even want to do anything with it or not.
Well, the
I didn't,
link,
I didn't do any timestamps or anything like that. I just
well, the link starts out at 2 hours and 16 minutes in to that 8 hour stream.
right.
So,
I that just happened to be where I was watching. At the
Oh,
time,
okay.
I was scanning through it, so that's
but
where
Joel
I.
is talking in there, so
Yeah.
Straight up garbage.
If you scan through and find where Rage is in there, obviously that would be in that part of it. That's when Rage talks about him having a doctorate degree, and Joel, obviously Joel doesn't, correct him on that, which is kind of funny.
Wow.
And
Wow.
There's some interesting stuff in there. Joel having a fit arguing with somebody, and he's in there for quite a while too. So
Oh yeah.
you'd have to really go through it. But
He does tend to stick around. I had him on
Yeah.
the channel once, and it was really a bizarre conversation.
yeah,
Wait,
Yeah,
which guy is Joel? What's his name on his avatar?
Joel
SFB mod.
SFB mod is the other one. He has Joel Hears. Let me see if I can find a spot where he's talking. You'll recognize his voice.
Fight against it.
Here
You got. I think it's just critical thinking is my understanding. So, like I mentioned, Dr. Ross earlier today, for example, he was raised atheist, like you're talking about, and just through his own scientific background and training, Fred Hoyle, Dr. Collins, there's so many other examples out there. Just through the scientific analysis of what I would describe as biblical science versus other things, including atheism, that's what makes a more logical, scientific, observable analysis, basically.
I've got to bounce, but I'll be listening in.
All right,
What do you think?
all right. See you, girl.
All right, see ya.
Good,
Bye.
good to see you.
Anyway, that is classic SFB mod right there. That all these scientists, all real scientists, when you talk to them in the back room, they all believe in the Christian God, all of them.
Yeah.
And that's the way they do science. That's the way they do science. They first of all get the Bible out. They read a few biblical passages. They throw some herbs on the fire, and then they do science together.
And they use the
Naked.
buzzwords scientific, repeatable, observable, scientific analysis. And if you use those words, you're a smart scientist who believes in God.
Yeah, he's a little nuts, I think, Joel.
Yeah.
He's a little opposite.
And,
Yeah.
Though, anyway, him and his wife once had a really good conversation with me privately, and they helped me with a personal matter because they had been through the same thing. And they were very loving and caring people during that conversation. And I always want to point that out. So
Yeah. It's kind of funny how they can be that type of people and then be totally different, like on the internet, right? Isn't that kind of interesting? And Joel, it seems like he just likes to come in on the internet and brag and act like he's brilliant, and he
Yeah.
basically just lies about everything. He's
Yeah.
just a compulsive liar about everything.
George Santos, same
Well,
thing.
Yeah.
I appreciate that he's consistent. I think consistency is a virtue. So
There you
good
go.
for him.
Yeah.
I've met people like that. They're just so fucking full of themselves, and they start telling you these stories, and they're like, "What the fuck?" What was that movie? It was about a guy. His dad, I think, was dying, and his dad had told him these tall tales all of his life. And then he started to get to know his dad, and I guess part of them there was some truth in it. It's a classic movie. What the hell's the name of it? Something about dad or something. The Truth About Dad, or what the fuck? You know what I'm talking about? Anybody?
I don't recall that. It
Yeah,
sounds familiar, but I don't recall the title of it.
It's that movie where they were like two people were driving in a car on a road, and there was a tree. That movie.
I don't remember.
I'm pausing.
Well, I don't know.
Anyway, it was one of guys.
I think Mike saw that at the Nickelodeon once.
There you go. I watch a lot of stupid kids movies because they just make me fucking happy sometimes. I don't know. Don't defund the police. I want to defund the police.
Yeah, there was another video that came up that I was going to send you to. It was this one, and then there was another one, and I can't remember what the hell the other one was. And you haven't really been doing that type of content for quite a while, really. You've been kind of shying away from that kind of stuff. So I was like, he's probably not interested, so I didn't.
No, I am interested in doing more of that. It's just that we never get anywhere when we do our videos. I think I'm going to start doing comments on videos with just me and Scott, or maybe even me alone, because we don't get anywhere. We have three people. It's like Dannykins. We never get anywhere. And so I'm thinking about
we're all opinionated.
Yeah, because there's so much fucking garbage being put out by these pseudo-Christian creationists that we just have to respond. I mean, Standing for Truth, Sal Cordova, fucking this asshole, SFB mod.
Yeah.
We have to respond to this shit, and I would like to. But we never, I've yet to do a commentary video that I'm proud of or that I care about.
Yeah.
Because we just get so distracted.
Who I've been paying attention to a little bit. The guy Grayson there. What's his name? That's been doing debates. He's been doing a lot.
Base
of stuff.
theory is mod,
Yep.
I like Grayson. Yeah.
He's a pretty cool guy. Smart
As a matter of fact, I think the video that I was going to send you was on his channel too. As a matter of fact, there was something on there that was very interesting. Oh, I think it was the one. There's several videos. I know one of them. He was on there.
Hey everyone, we are working.
I know what it was. Well, there's several actually, but I know one of them he was on there, and I think it was like an after show or whatever it was, and like a bunch of Christians came in. I think there was 5 Christians came in on an after show, and of course one of them redefined living, and then jungle jargon, and who else? There was a bunch of them, and they were all on there, all going after Grayson. So check that out too. You might want to consider.
Whose channel was that?
That's on Grayson's channel. Yeah.
Based theory, BASED, based theory.
Yeah, basic theory. Yep.
Base theory. Yeah.
Yep. Check out his recent, the past 4 or 5 videos that he's done, and kind of just scan through them. I know there's one there that all those Christians were on there going after him. And then there was 1 or 2 other ones that were pretty good. Jungle Jargon goes in there a lot. And, of course, he's hilarious. He's, who else? Redefined Living was in there that one time. And then
Redefined Living, that sounds familiar, but who?
Remember him? He's a Darth Dawkins friggin' wannabe type.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember him.
I'll bet Peter knows him then.
Yeah, probably.
Peter likes to hang out with those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, LPP debate highlights creationism polystrate tree. So that was
Really?
3 days ago on Grayson's channel.
are you
Apparently,
kidding?
Maddox
Yeah.
made an appearance there.
I think there's
Oh
some
my
interesting stuff in there too. Yep. Yeah. Check out that. Yep.
Wow. Yeah. God, I've been missing all that stuff. Am I
Yeah,
not
Bree was in there. Bree just made a comment. I see. Yeah, I think Bree was in it one time, I believe. What there was some pretty good videos on there.
Snake After Party?
Interesting characters, joined in. Some great creationists joined in and said a lot of stupid stuff. So you definitely find some content there. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's
There's
always
one
fun.
from 2 weeks ago entitled 5 Christians Grilling
Yeah.
an Atheist, Me.
That
on
one,
the Big
yeah,
Bang, etc.
that's
Yeah,
a
I
pretty
saw
good
that
one. That's a pretty good one. Yeah.
So
I can never get Christians to come onto my channel and debate me about God. They just won't do it.
Yeah, I know. I can't get any on this channel either. So, Professor Dave and Dr. Joel Duff both did takedowns on James Tour, and James Tour actually said that they found red blood cells in Tyrannosauruses, and that he thinks they may even still be alive. So, I mean, this guy is such a charlatan. And Dr. Dave is
What?
doing a
The
4-part
dinosaurs
series.
themselves are still alive, or the blood? What do you?
The blood cells, some of the
He
biological.
suggested that that dinosaurs must have lived either recently or maybe they're even still around.
Oh, I didn't know he
Seems
went
to-
that far.
Yeah.
Holy
So he
shit,
really
talk about
came out as
nuts.
Well,
he came out. Yeah, he's coming out as more and more of a nutcase. And I think he may be in some trouble at the university he's at. If he isn't, I know some people are trying to get him in trouble. That basically, they're trying to call in his PhD advisories into question because he's telling people flat out not to go into abiogenesis, and he's just a horrible fucking. He's
Person?
slamming other researchers, and you just don't do that in
Right.
the way
Yeah.
he's.
no.
And he's full of shit. And Professor Dave really explains it. But Dr. Joel Duff is a Christian who has amazing content, and he's very good at taking down these creationists. He's
Yeah, he
wonderful.
has a very good methodical approach to
He has.
issues. He highlights and reads papers and stuff like that. So
Dr. Chris
Joel Duff
Thompson
is
is
a good
also good.
resource.
Dr. Chris Thompson is also good at doing that. And I'm trying to think of some others that.
Aaron Raw took a shot at him about it lately too.
Oh, Aaron Raw did good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
look at James Tour. I mean, right? Look what religion does to people. It's just amazing, right? I mean, he's a brilliant guy, obviously smart, and
He actually thinks thinks he saw Jesus in his bedroom, and he talks about it.
Just
Talk
amazing.
about people. We were talking about hallucinations from mushrooms. Well, these people have hallucinations without anything in their system at all.
Right. I mean, look what it has done to the guy. I mean, he's really starting to go off his rocker, and like he's getting worse, right?
Yeah, it's you can see by the let's see where the hell is. I'm trying to find a really good example of what's. I mean, just the way he looks is he gets so mad, and he's just got this. He reminds me of fucking. You remember Dragnet? Was that Jack Webb?
Jack Webb.
Yeah, Dragnet. That's who he reminds me of. That fucking Dragnet character. Fucking crazy shit.
Kind of wound tight, that's for sure.
Wound very tight. There he is in all of his glory.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of the the takedowns or any. Are they any good? I haven't really caught any of them yet.
They're really good. Yeah, they're a little technical. They get a little technical because Tour is always throwing out. He throws out enough synthetic chemistry. Like, you need the pure reagents, and then you need this, and then you need that. Yeah. And he throws out all this jargon, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's so smart. He knows what he's talking about."
Yeah.
But he doesn't understand the science at all. He doesn't understand the science of biology and evolution or abiogenesis. He hasn't a fucking clue. And he claims to have written papers on it. And all the papers that he's written have been opinion pieces in AIG and things like that. He's not gotten published in that field.
Yeah.
Oh, and then James Stewart comes back at him. He's talking about all the hype, the hype of abiogenesis, the hype. And so Professor Dave comes back at him and says, what about the hype with nano cars that you made? You made these little nano cars and graphene, and they've been hyping that for like 20 years, and we've seen very little results from that research.
Yeah.
And he says it's all hype.
It's like how fusion energy is just around the corner and stuff like that. A lot of overpromising.
Yeah, a lot of overpromising.
Or cheap efficient batteries, more efficient batteries. That always seems to be 5 or 10 years out there.
So James, later today, you're going to in between your kid's birthday, you're going to double down on your antinatalism. Is that what I hear?
Well, I want to clarify my antinatalism. I started that discussion on Richard Manson's channel last night, and then I regretted it not too long after. And that's usually what happens. Like I'll start talking about a complex topic and where I stand about it. Other people will join the discussion, and then because by this time there's so many people on the channel that they've completely misunderstood me because I didn't finish explaining my position. And so then I got to sit there for the next hour listening to 3 or 4 different people explain all the problems with my worldview because they don't understand my position because I didn't get a chance to finish explaining my position. And then I end up regretting that I even started, right? And so my new rule, as of last night, my new rule is from now on, I don't say anything about what I think about anything if it's complicated on somebody else's channel. I keep it simple on their channel and their space because otherwise I'm going to be misunderstood and I'm going to regret opening my stupid mouth, right? So I'm going to have this out on my channel where I completely explain my views relative to antinatalism and just leave it up there from now on because, it just doesn't work in other people's channels.
I decided to do
it's
that.
Tough to get nuance across in those big streams.
I decided that if I ever talk about scientism again with like Immutable or Leo or Danny or natural selection, that none of those people are going to be in the room because continually misrepresent me, misunderstand what I'm saying, and overtalk me. And if I put out my position, I want to put out my entire position and the reasons behind it instead of fucking all this bullshit. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things about my philosophy that I've not talked about again because I found it so difficult to do it in dialogue form with another person who disagrees with me vehemently and who just never seems to quite listen to what I'm saying about the thing that I'm trying to put forth. Does that sum up your experience last night?
Yeah, that was very much like that, and I'm not mad at anybody for it. Nobody there intentionally misunderstood me. Nobody tried to straw man me. They just made assumptions about what I meant and what I thought, and I would prefer people stop and ask, right? But they just don't, right? So it's just, and then I can't interrupt them, right? Because they are making their points, and I just. I'm not that kind of guy anyways. I always give people their space to say what they want to say and blah. So lesson learned, right?
Have you done a video where you make your case for antinatalism?
I've talked about it before at length, but I think a lot of people just missed it. So now I've got to start from...
I would like for you to do some sort of PowerPoint presentation or whatever and get into the details of it because I just don't understand the issue there other than the fact that basically you don't think the human race ought to reproduce anymore.
Well, I mean, it's way more complicated than that, right?
Right.
I don't want to.
I would love to hear that nuance. Yeah.
So to
Stupid
give you,
orgy, I agree. She says, I want a 3-hour fucking lecture. It's
Yeah,
actually more
and
like a 3-hour non-fucking lecture, but still.
yeah, you're right.
your
I should
position,
do an organized presentation. I really should.
your position is primarily based on suffering, right?
Yeah, and honestly, to add an important disclaimer here, my antinatalism is a lot like other people's veganism. I don't, you know, it's like I don't look at people who choose to have children and say, "Oh, you awful breeder people, you like you awful immoral breeder people." Like I don't think that at all. My antinatalism is more about like why I don't want to bring more people into the world, not about what you should or shouldn't do. And I understand why people choose to have children, and I do not feel like they're making some kind of moral evil commitment to that, right? Like I don't think that at all. I I would love it if everybody in the world happened to adopt my view and stopped having children, and I have reasons for thinking that, but I don't think that they're awful people or less moral than me because they do have children. I just have a reason that I didn't used to have that I have now for why I would never intentionally bring more people into the world.
Can I
So
say something? It's why I came in with respect to what James was saying before he started explaining his antinatalist position, because it really vibed with me. I think he's correct on it. And I wanted to talk about it while at the same time providing some even further justification for why I engage with a lot of people the way that I do. Because James is correct. You'll go into these rooms and you'll be trying to explain something. And the thing is, a lot of the times, like, people think that these ideas are like super simple and black and white, and we can have the discussion completed in 10 minutes. And you'll sit there trying to explain something that's not actually very easy to understand, that has a lot of technicalities and nuances associated with it. And people get mad when you take the 2 or the 3 minutes requisite to explaining these concepts. They'll ignore half of what you say. They won't stay on topic. They won't answer questions. They won't ask you questions, and they'll just assume to know what it is that you're saying. And then people want to act like I'm an asshole because I tend to get somewhat aggressive in my engagements. But that's because that's how people engage. A lot of people just are not actually interested in charitably understanding your position, doing their best to properly represent it, and then offering genuine objections to it. They're interested in listening to themselves talk about how everybody else who's not them and who doesn't think like they do has to be wrong.
Right.
Leo, I have never loved you more in my life than I love you right now, man. Like, I'm clipping that shit. I am clipping that. I am saving that. You are wonderful. Leo for president. Like, seriously, thank you so much for saying that shit.
And this is why when I'm in the middle of talking, I won't let people cut me off. I won't no, I'm sorry. I'm not doing this. You will have your turn to speak when I'm done. But now you can have some patience and sit quietly and wait.
What?
Hell yeah.
Leo? Did you disappear?
You're properly understanding whatever concept is that. Yeah, I get it. You want to talk, you want to respond. But unless you're asking questions that are concerned with legitimate clarification about something, you shouldn't be interrupting me. And then when you do, it should be, sorry to interrupt, but you said such and such. I don't know if I understand what you mean. Could you clarify that quickly before continuing? And anybody that's done that to me knows that I'm going to go, oh, sure, clarify it, ensure that the other person understands, and then continue. Because I'm actually interested in having meaningful discussions, even if that requires me to get aggressive, a little bit rude, and where I have to hold the hand of a grown fucking human adult and walk them through the strictures of meaningful and respectful discourse, because apparently they don't know how to do that. But then that's just not my problem. That's yours for not knowing how to engage meaningfully in discourse with other people.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Abso-fucking-lutely. And honestly, like, maybe we need to have classes, or maybe we need to start doing instructional videos for atheists to help them learn how to have better dialogue, because it wasn't taught in high school and they haven't figured it out for themselves. You know.
Yeah, I think that things like rhetoric and argumentation should be taught. Like, you should know what a formal argument is. You should know what fallacies are. You should know the strictures, the I guess you could say rules. I prefer the word strictures for having meaningful and charitable discussions. You should be able to recognize discharity. You should be willing to call it out. And you shouldn't have a problem with getting a little bit rude to people who are themselves being dishonest and discharitable, which is a rude thing to do.
Yep.
I'll be right back, guys. 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's got to go get Amazon. So, Leo, would you be interested in or participating or hosting or organizing a regular event where you give these tutorials and try to get the community caught up to speed about how to have real conversations?
Well, I've thought about doing some like a multi-partite video series where I might feature people like Detroyer from Friction Philosophy, Danny, Jack Angstrike if he'd be interested, and other like people who like, and I don't want to sound mean that I'm picking these people out over others, but I don't care whether you like or dislike the names that I listed. They are exceptionally skilled with having discussions, and they're very, very philosophically adept. And that's what you're going to need. You're going to need somebody who is very philosophically adept and who is exceptionally skilled with having discussions to talk about this stuff. And bringing them on and just some rhetoric, argumentation, how to do it properly and how to recognize when other people are engaged in dishonest or discharitable tactics and being able to recognize that and call it out. Because you should. When somebody's behaving that way, you ought to openly call that out and make it very, very clear to the audience what it is that they're doing and how it is that they're doing it.
Right. All of those guys have been doing that for, doing those kind of discussions for well over 10 years. Every single one of those guys you named, right?
I know that Jack has. I don't know how. I think Danny's only been around for maybe 5 or 6, I think he said. And I don't know about Detroyer. Because Jack goes all the way back to like 2013.
Right.
I think him and then Josh, the realistic nihilist, go all the way back to like 2013. I think there's a couple others, but Darth does. Because I think it really got started on what was called the Great Debate Community on Google Plus, which was started by Steve McRae. And eventually, like people like Jack Angstrike, Darth Dawkins, the realistic nihilist. There's some like really old names too, Polarity, Hal of America, that moved to Pal Talk, Darth. And then it went from Pal Talk to Discord, and then from Discord to Clubhouse, and now Darth is back to Discord because he's like burned all his bridges on Clubhouse.
Right.
I haven't been very closely associated with what's called the Ang Gang or that group, but I know about them, and I've known about them for several years, but I've never really been like a part of the group. I've just sort of tangentially known about them.
That's fair. So yeah, these are issues
Leo, I'm sorry. Leo, did you say that you share James's views on antinatalism?
Well, I don't really want to comment to that because I think that just for his sake, he should be allowed to express it a little bit more deeply than he did.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm generally not an antinatalist, but I don't think the idea that at least at certain defined moments in human history, it would be better for at least some people to not have children.
I think we can all agree on that. Some people shouldn't have children.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Ever so often there comes up a proposal, just kind of in the discussion communities, about having to license people to be able to be parents.
And the other thing is that we should clarify about antinatalism is that it is quite a like that's a nuanced position. That is not just nobody should ever have kids. That's bad. Like, no, you fucking idiot. That's not how this works. And that's the problem, is that so many people, A, don't know anything about certain positions, B, don't want to know anything about these positions, but C, still want to have loud opinions about why those positions are wrong. This is the problem that we have in the world. There's a lot of people who have loud opinions about shit they don't understand.
Right. Absolutely. Now, though, with that in mind, even though I was grossly misunderstood on Richard Matson's channel last night, I didn't feel like the people there were intentionally misunderstanding me. They just lacked enough self-awareness to say, okay, I need to stop and ask James some more questions if I'm going to
Exactly.
comment on. Yeah, and they didn't.
It's this.
And
I'm
even
just gonna go ahead. I'm sorry.
some of the people there were top-notch people. Mark Reed, for example, he's top tier in my opinion when it comes to having discussions.
There's a picture of Mark Reed's glorious bald head in the dictionary next to the word charitable.
Right.
And that's not an insult. I just to clarify for the people that might not catch on to that.
Mark Reed's great. I have no problem with Mark Reed at all.
Mm-hmm.
But even he did it. Even he just kind of filled in the blanks to what he thought I meant and ran with it. And the reason I didn't interrupt him, and Mark Reed would have been agreeable to it. Like I could have stopped him and said, "Let me clarify," and Mark Reed would have been cool with it. But the whole reason I shut up and stayed shut up is because Richard Madsen asked me to. He said, "Please quit talking. Let's let other people like carry this for a while." And so I didn't interrupt anybody to say, actually, that they had me wrong.
But that's weird though. Like you're the one that has the position. I presume you're the one that brought the topic up.
I am.
And all of a sudden he wants you to not talk about it when people are criticizing your, like, I'm sorry. I would have just been like, well, Richard, I have no problem letting people disagree. But since I'm the one that brought this topic up and I'm the one that expressed, adherence to this position, I think it's fair that I be given the space to respond to those people levying criticisms against my view.
Right. Now, Mark Reed, in his credit, did say, "James, you should have told me if I had misunderstood something." And I told him, I'm like, as I listened to 3 different people respond to my view and criticize it or whatever, which I'm fine with. If I would have stopped and interrupted each of those 3 people every time they misunderstood me, they would have hardly got a sentence out because like everything they said was missing the mark of where I was at. And I didn't want to be that guy that interrupted everybody constantly, right? But I also didn't want to be the guy that everybody just completely misunderstood and ran with it. And I just felt like, what could I do?
Yeah, and see, this is why there are times where I think that we kind of have to be a little rude. Like you'll see Danny do it. Like, no, I'm sorry, I have to stop you. You're not understanding my position. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm sorry, you're not properly understanding this. So let me go through this again, and then what I want you to do is when I'm done, is give my position back to me. I want to ensure that you're properly understanding me because I do not feel that I am being understood. Sometimes we just have to do that. We have to be like, no, I'm sorry. I understand. I'm interrupting a lot, but I'm sorry. You're just not getting this. You're not understanding where I'm coming from. And I'm not interested in listening to objections that aren't, I don't want you to sit here and object to points I'm not making because then we're just talking past each other and there's going to be no meaningful discussion. I would rather interrupt you and try to get the discussion on track, not saying that it's purposefully being derailed, than have you consistently object to what I'm saying, but not actually get it right.
Right. Yeah, I need to get better at speaking up. I do. That was part of the problem, but I don't.
The thing
this is why.
Just a quick piece of advice. I would say that it is a thing that takes practice. It's just not everybody's cup of tea to be kind of, I'm going to be a little flowery with my language here, a bit facetious, but it's not in everybody to kind of be that asshole. Like I'm okay with doing it, but I'm just one of those people, I'm an asshole. James is not. So,
right.
But
you have
it is something that you kind of have to train
aptitude
about.
Shocking,
I would like to hear an example of that stuff. Anyone get a chance to type out an example.
Shocking stuff from atheists.
Apparently,
I do too.
Antinatalist position.
Oh, I see.
I hear shocking things from atheists quite frequently. That like religious people are all morons, and religion is like child abuse, and if you believe in religion, that's a mental illness, and all these dumbass fucking takes that do nothing to further discussion or convince anybody away from religion.
Yeah, but they're all true.
No, they're not. They're actually not true. I know Speed's being facetious, but just because there's those people out there that don't.
Well, every now and then I think I compare believing in God to believing in Santa Claus, and I can't find any fucking difference.
Well, I mean, I don't think I would either. I mean, maybe there are some nuanced differences, but I think that the general point still stands. But I don't think that like a 36-year-old genuinely believing that Santa Claus is real would be a mental illness either.
Yeah, well, the thing is that you can you can be in a culture, in a family, in a group where you can believe all sorts of stuff that just ain't true. And no matter how intelligent you are, you're not going to be able to see your way out of that paper bag, right? So I mean, that's what happens. It's like these little confined environments where you don't allow any input. Like Rebekah's doing that. She did it with that Stephanie. What was her name? Helms. Stephanie.
Yeah,
Helms?
Stephanie Helms.
Stephanie Helms put out this very rational thing about, and you did too, Leo, about methodological naturalism. And Rebekah didn't hear a fucking thing you guys said. And at the end of it, she said, "Don't you think Stephanie was being irrational?" And it's like, what? No, somebody was being irrational. It was Rebekah.
So was that on Rebekah's channel or was it on a different channel?
What? Oh God, that was on Gerstreams. Gerstreams.
I'm gonna have to look that up because somebody never sent me a link.
Well, I got it right here. In fact, did I put the link in the? Hang on a second. It's called.
I think you said you were going to timestamp it, but
Yeah, I was coughing.
I did. I gave it to you, and I timestamped it. I thought.
What I wanted to say here is that Rebekah kept trying to argue that, well, science has to suppose metaphysical naturalism, and I immediately piped up, no.
You said no.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's and I said methodological naturalism, which again, taking from Sean Carroll's book, The Big Picture, I prefer methodological empiricism rather than methodological naturalism. Not only do I think it more accurately describes what we're doing here methodologically, but I think it's a little bit less of a loaded term. If we would just take naturalism out of the methodological naturalism, I think that non-naturalists, metaphysically speaking, would be much more receptive to the concept.
I'm going to disagree with you on empiricism being not a loaded term. It's a loaded
Well, I mean,
term.
it's a loaded term, but not in the way that naturalism is. That's what I'm trying to say.
You know, when you start getting into the philosophy of empiricism and you cross over into idealism and all that other bullshit, you're in for a world of hurt.
Whoa. Empiricism is like diametrically opposed to idealism.
Well, there are takes on, and I don't want to get into this, but there are takes on empiricism where empiricism is what we observe. And basically that can be seen from an idealistic point of view. And fucking Amazon is at the door again. Why do they send two fucking trucks within 5 minutes of each other, right? And I got to go get this because I've got $300 worth of coffee sitting on the step.
It reminds me of that one meme I saw a few years ago. And it's like, you know, Amazon, they're starting to work with these drones that like deliver packages straight to your front door and shit. It's like, soon enough, you're going to be waking up in the middle of the night with some guy opening a box of pajamas and putting them on you and saying, shh, this is part of the package now. This is part of your Amazon Prime. This was a gift from your mother-in-law. I have to put it on. It's like, that's what it's going to come to. You're going to have Amazon workers in your house leaving packages under your tree during Christmas. Oh, shit.
I might be okay with that. I'm just saying. I might be okay with it.
Look, as long as we're vetting the people that do it, yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, we're okay with it. So we do have a problem in the chat right now, and as soon as Mike gets back, it has to be dealt with.
Wait, what?
Did he leave the chat again?
Mike had to. He had to go get his package because it's like $300 worth of coffee. He can't just leave it sitting out there.
Ooh.
Oh,
So
yes, I see that. Yes.
What's
I
the
see
trouble?
what you're talking about.
I'm not seeing what you're talking about.
Stephanie Trutton may change their name because they have a problem with the fact that there is a trans person on the stream that we're broadcasting named Stephanie, and
yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I when I first saw this Stephanie, I didn't know Stephanie Helms, and God, my hat's off to her. What she laid out, you know, that was great. That was wonderful.
She's very well spoken.
I think I'm going to watch that portion of Ger's stream because I keep hearing about what a good job she did.
Yeah, it's I've got a transcript here and I'm linking it. It's at the very end of my description. So if you want to pick that up, Scott.
Okay.
I'll put it on.
Before we move forward, that honestly that needs to be dealt with.
What's
We
that?
can't just ignore the bigotry that Stephanie Trutton is bringing to the
I was kind of
chat.
surprised by that. Didn't think she had that in her.
Yeah.
What did,
I've seen it before. And
what
in
did
fact,
you just say?
Well, no, she's just spewing anti-trans bigotry about Stephanie Helms. Oh, well, that looks like a man. Oh, I guess I'm gonna have to change my name because of the like just the Huckleberry fuck dumbass Southern conservative dipshit fucking talking points. So I don't know what you. It's up to you, Speed. I personally, okay. So you decided to time them out. I was gonna say, me personally, I wouldn't. I would have just ignored it and not even mentioned it and let them go away into the darkness. But it's not my channel, so I don't get to make those decisions. Yeah, but I was gonna ask you what action you did want to take. Want to warn them? Just time them out? How you wanted to? But you
he doesn't go away.
You have gavelled the decision already.
That's
so.
the thing. She doesn't.
Yeah. Fucking Stephanie, don't fucking do that on this channel. Just fucking don't do that, or I'll block you.
So I'm taking it that this is your warning. You won't be timed out again as long as you don't spew any more anti-trans bigotry. Right. But if you do, you're probably not going to get timed out. You're probably just going to get banned from the chat.
Banned, right? Banned.
As a moderator, and Melody was there when this happened. Stephanie Tretton had to be timed out for the exact same thing on MythVision's stream during a MythVision stream. And
okay,
this was many months ago. But
I just want to say, if Stephanie Tretton is still listening in the side chat, since this is already demonstrably a recurring theme with you, if I ever see it on my channel, and I want you to know this, because I don't mind you being in my side chat, but if I ever see you spewing bigotry against any demographic of people, particularly ones that are already largely targeted in the Western world, I'm not going to time you out. I'm just going to ban you.
Also, Stephanie no longer has a rent, so feel free to time Stephanie out if any of that shit happens again. But bring it to my attention, and I will take care of it.
Did you see the comment Peter made? I didn't. Peter made. I'd like to know an example of that myself.
I don't know if that's sarcastic or what Peter means by that. I don't know. I'd like to hear him extrapolate on that too. So here's the thing. Like, I really want to speak to this for a moment. If Stephanie Tretton is still here.
Body does not. Sorry about that.
What?
That was my mistake. I clicked on Gin and Truth yesterday's stream because he did a really good topic of do not tolerate transphobia ever. I'm going to put together the link for that.
Oh, yeah, just like do not tolerate anti-Semitism ever.
Yeah.
And if you have to ask yourself if it truly is transphobia, replace whatever word is being used to describe the trans person or people or group with Jews and ask yourself if that sounds wrong. And if it does, then yes, it's anti-trans bigotry. So if somebody says, look, I ain't got a problem with trans people, but this whole sports thing, with these trans people in sports, I don't think it's very fair. Or just replace the word trans with Jew there. Look, I don't got a problem with Jewish people, but these damn Jews in the sports, I don't think is very fair. If it sounds like it's bigotry in the second case, then it's bigotry in the first case as well.
Hey, boys and girls, I want to draw your attention to Pine Creek in this Nitty stream with Stephanie Helms. And some of the shit that Pine Creek was saying was enough that I would have banned him, basically. I mean, I thought he was just being an asshole.
A lot of people say that about him. Let's see what he has to say. Because I don't think Pine Creek is that bad. I think that he's the kind of person that a lot of people in the community will disagree with politically, but that he actually expresses his ideas in a meaningful way, and people just don't like that he disagrees with them.
No, he had nuances here about trans people that pissed me off, that were I think toxic, where he wasn't stating anything rationally. He was just sort of hinting at certain problems with basically transitioning in youth and things like that. And I think he was being a fucking jerk. And I had not seen, and I do like Pine Creek's reason and the way he puts things out, and I applaud him for that. But what he was doing in this stream at 1:45, right around 1:45, I think he needs to be shit on for that, basically, because it was fucking garbage that he's putting. I mean, you could tell what he's thinking, but he wasn't actually stating it out loud. He wasn't putting it forth.
Yeah, he definitely does that sometimes. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
And I thought that was just bullshit. I mean, my opinion of him dropped 10 notches during that stream.
Well, as I understand it, Danny kind of took him to task here, showing that the way that he's trying to define things and analyze them is not consistent.
Yeah, I didn't see that part of it. So.
Of course you didn't.
Of course I didn't, because it was Danny, and I just black out Danny. I just see.
Yeah, I know you do. I don't understand why.
I don't see Danny. I don't see Danny's. I can't see Danny's. I don't know why. I just see this blank. I see static and blank stuff. I don't know. I don't see him.
Danny's really good with discussions, particularly on TikTok. You think the shit Pine Creek's bad? You should hear some of the other people that Danny talked to on TikTok.
Yeah,
Danny's really skilled rhetorically. That's why I like to watch him, because I learn a lot from his rhetorical skills. And like you'll notice that back in 2021, after I met Danny, you'll notice that a lot of my demeanor and the way that I approach discussions changed.
Yeah.
I would argue quite dramatically. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, Danny is very skilled. I definitely applaud Danny for that. He's very, very, very good, very brilliant, very good at laying out a reasonable argument. And, what's happening?
We've got somebody in the chat that might be an anti-trans bigot. Doubting Thomas says sports is a whole different category, Leo. Big difference between trans in sports and Jews in sports, physicality being an issue. The Jews, because Jews are smart people, it's a disadvantage to have them in the financial industry, because they just have so much of an advantage over everybody else because of how smart they are, that it's just not fair for them to be in it. Now, if that sounds like bigotry to you, Doubting, ask yourself about what you just fucking said.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right. So
No. Black people shouldn't be allowed to play in basketball because they're so fast and tall. It's an unfair advantage. I just don't think that we should allow black people to play basketball. Does that sound like bigotry to you? I don't think Michael Phelps should be allowed to be a swimmer. Like, have you seen the studies that's been done on him? And what I'm saying is like actually true here. The webbing between his hands on like his fingers and stuff is bigger. It's longer. His hands are bigger. He's got a larger lung capacity. Like, it's just, these are unfair competitive advantages that he gets that other humans just don't have. So I don't think it's fair. I think that he should have to give back all of his gold medals from the Olympics. Like, the dude's half fish, for Christ's sake. Like, this is just not fair at all.
Yeah. Anyway,
So,
moving on.
I'm laying the sarcasm on heavy just in case people can't, pick up on that.
Back
some
to
people might misunderstand.
antinatalism. So when are you going to do your stream there, James?
So I moved it. It was supposed to be in a half hour from now, but I moved it back till tomorrow because we've been having a great discussion here. And when we're done, I need to go give some attention to my daughter.
So are you going to cover your antinatalism tomorrow, or do you have a different topic in mind?
Tomorrow, I moved the antinatalism back to tomorrow. There's other topics I want to talk about. In fact, this discussion has me thinking about all kinds of things I want to talk about. But I moved the antinatalism.
Well, I just want you to know I'm curious about it, and I look forward to for a chance to see you develop it. And
so, James, if you were to have an entirely different take on suffering, and you were to completely turn that thing inside out, would your antinatalism still stand without the suffering part? That's just a simple question. I don't want to.
I mean, I don't. If you eliminate my concern about suffering from the equation, I no longer have any reason for antinatalism.
Okay, got it. So, yeah, at some point, I would like to talk to you about that, because it's one of the things that's happening in my life is eliminating the notion of suffering. So, and it's not fucking easy. It's going to take me years. But anyway, I'm changing my relationship with that concept.
Suffering will never be eliminated. This is part of the reason that we can deduce that an all-powerful, all-knowing, morally perfect God does not exist.
No, I'm not eliminating suffering. I'm eliminating it from my life.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
There's a difference. Yeah, there's a subtle difference, a real subtle difference. I'm reframing it as being part of my whole, and I need to embrace it to the point where if I start clutching my chest later on today, I would do so with a smile on my face. And that's a little difficult to explain, but that's one of my goals in life, is to die gracefully, laughing, and just see the beauty in it. That's where I want to get.
All right, I'm going to take off. I got some stuff I got to get done.
Okay, thanks, Leo.
Thanks for stopping by. Yeah.
Peace out, guys.
Poor Midnight cannot say a word. Midnight keeps coming in, and Midnight just like somehow Midnight has some kind of fucking problem with Restream, and I have no idea what it was. But
I
I
don't
reached
know
out
what
to
it is. Yeah,
well,
I
I
don't
reached
know.
out for support, and they did say that it was just Midnight. It was nobody else that they were doing this to.
What browser does Midnight use? You know what
I think
browser do you use?
are you using Chrome? What do you got there, James? What did you just put in my private chat?
A relevant video about how to deal with pain in life and how she thinks of pain differently and made peace with it.
Okay.
I love Bethany K. She's got brilliant stuff, and it's like 3 minutes
Good.
long. I don't know if you want to play it or not, but if not, you can just watch it later.
Yeah, let's play it. Can we play it?
Yeah.
It's a Facebook kind of watch sort of thing, right? What the hell am I looking at now? Whoa, stop it. Stop it. Do not tolerate that. Oh, okay. Hang on a second.
Hey, I'm gonna walk around a bit. My back is starting to stiffen up real bad. So I will be listening in the background, but you will not have to endure my comments.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Okay, no, I think I got.
Oh, we lost Leo. Did he have to go?
Yeah, Leo.
He said goodbye. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry.
Okay, let me play this. We got 3 minutes here.
It's been months that I wake up feeling this volcano of pain inside of me and literally have to make the decision every morning between just crying on the floor and not doing anything or getting up and making these videos. And I don't know if you can see my pain speaking through me, but they're coming from this deep well of pain inside of me. And I've been viewing my pain as the bad guy. And I realized today that part of the thing that causes my suffering is the feeling that I shouldn't be feeling the pain. It's the thought that I should be feeling a different way that makes it that much more painful. And I think in our society, it has just been so taboo to express your pain. It's so not talked about to have pain that it's just looked down upon. That inability to accept that part of us makes it so much more intense, more difficult to accept and to release it from us. The most important part of pain is to express it without resistance and to allow it, to accept it, to love it as much as we love any other part of our reality, to embrace it almost like you would a wounded child, that part of yourself that we are so resistant to, almost come to just despise it, to hate it, and to feel like it shouldn't exist. When I identify with the pain and suffering, I wish I didn't exist. I just laid here today and just wishing the sun could just burn it out of me. And that's not how it works. It works by loving those parts of you that you hate, that darkness, that pain that you hate. The moment that you love it, you can transcend it. Loving it is the way to release it. And acceptance, I've always thought of it as this passive thing, like, okay, it's fine that I'm sad every day, but today I realized that acceptance is love. The beautiful chaos. And it's okay, and it shouldn't be any other way.
Wow. Damn. Yeah, that's it. Almost like once a week, I stub my toe on these fucking weights I got laying all over the floor, and I scream, "Fuck!" or "Son of a bitch!" And in that moment, I'm okay. It's the aftermath when I'm sitting there saying, "Oh God, I shouldn't have stubbed my toe." That's where I start suffering. But the whole process of stubbing my toe on the weight and screaming about it, it's not so bad. It's all part
Do you
of having weights all over your fucking floor.
do you think those conditions are getting worse in the United States? Like it
You mean
seems to
weights
me
all
it is
over? What?
like basically depression in people. You think it's getting far worse in the United States? It seems that way to me for some reason.
Yeah, because it's become memoized. It's because we note it, right? Because we all suffer from depression. And fucking Amazon just rang my doorbell again.
Again.
Okay. And the last delivery was for my son, so this one might be my $300 worth of fucking coffee beans. So I'm gonna go get it. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah. "Quote unquote coffee beans." A special package from south of the border.
Yeah. $300? Yeah, I don't think it's coffee.
Yeah, we're gonna call it coffee
That's a
until the
lot
statute of
of coffee.
limitations runs out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jay says that he doesn't like that video, that he doesn't agree with it. It seems unreasonable. So here's my thought on that. I could see it both ways. If thinking that way empowers somebody to be able to have a different relationship with their pain in such a way that it's liberating or freeing or healing in some way, if it works, it works, right? If that way of thinking about it works for you, then it does. If it doesn't, if it's incompatible with the way that you think of pain and the way that you work through issues, if you think it's antithetical to progress for you, then you're right. It doesn't work for you. It's not what you should use. Then you're right. You're not wrong about that, right? It's incompatible with the way that you work through things. And it just, within the context of the way your mind works, it would be sabotaging. So throw that away, walk past it, say, nope, not for me. And that's how I do with everything, right? Every idea and every ideology. It's like with Christianity and Buddhism and Native American spiritualism and secular humanism. Everything that I like about it, that's useful for me, that I can make use of, that's compatible with the way that my mind works and with the way that my journey is unfolding, I keep it, I use it, I celebrate it, I share it where I can. But if something within those bins of ideas just doesn't work for me, it just runs counter to the way that I work through things, then I just leave it behind. Right?
Hey,
So, yep.
I just want to interject, assholes. I was listening while I went up the stairs. Now,
he's got to prove it. There it
no
is.
mention of Godell's incompleteness theorem.
Wow.
In this box. There's no mention of it in this box.
Yeah. Those Colombian
funny.
quote unquote coffee makers are really getting great at their
Look at that
official
shit, man.
packaging.
It's caffeine.
So
Coffee.
what is that? What kind? What
That's a
kind
5
is it?
pound. That's a 5 pound bag of fresh roasted coffee, beans, and I got what, 6 of them, 30 pounds.
Wow.
No mention of Godell's incompleteness theorem.
How
Or
long will
any
that
of the
last?
substances.
Will that last a year, or how long will that last?
About a month and a half.
No way. That's it?
I'm trying to fucking slow down on that because that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how much caffeine we put in our coffee. We put about I don't know, quarter to a half a pound per cup. I think. I don't know. It's fucking insane.
Wow.
Do not do what I do, boys and girls. Do not fucking do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I consume a lot of caffeine myself.
Anyway, it costs about well, actually, I got a discount, so that came to $200. So that's $200 worth of coffee sitting there for the porch pirates to, and I don't want to have to shoot one of them guys.
So you just like that brand? Is that what it is, or what? What's so special about that?
We order actually they're cheaper than anywhere else I found. It works out to about $9 a pound, something like that, $10 a pound. And normally, actually, no. The fuck, $200. I think I got that for $7 a pound, and you can't find coffee any cheaper than that. So I buy 30 pounds at a time because the price goes down drastically when you buy bulk. So we now have 45 pounds of coffee in our coffee shop over there. So me and my son drink a bit of coffee.
Yeah, we drink a lot of coffee here too.
Yeah. Well, if you
Yeah.
buy it in bulk, you'll save money, and they're in well sealed bags, and it's
Yeah.
very, very good coffee. It's nothing like the shit you buy at the grocery store.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And you pay what the hell at the grocery store? It's about $8 a pound, isn't it?
Oh,
$8-9.
yeah, coffee's gone
Yeah, it's
way up
crazy
now
expensive.
too. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty.
well, this shit here, gourmet coffee,
No,
and I get it for what the hell did I pay? I think that was a $200 order.
Right.
Because I buy from them in bulk, so I get credits all the time, and that amounts to $6.66 a pound for gourmet whole bean coffee. Not a bad deal.
Right. No.
Yeah.
If you think about it that way, it's a really good deal. So a couple
Okay.
things real quick, because I've got to go in a couple minutes. One thing, Jay's waiting backstage. I want to bring that to somebody's attention. Another thing, Peter wanted me to answer a question, and I have no idea what he wanted me to answer. And
all right, sorry about that. Thanks, James. All right, so I just wanted to mention this thing to y'all real quick to get your perspective on it. Oh, god damn it, my camera is being used in Gather. So here's my thoughts on the pain thing, right? Like, because I used to study to be a dating coach, right? And reframing was like the Jedi mind trick of Jedi mind tricks. Everything was, oh, you need to reframe that, right? So what it reminded me of is, I think seeking pleasure and avoiding pain is like human being 101. How to human every single day is just seek pleasure, avoid pain. And so to me, like, I get that for some people, you have to accept the fact that you're in pain. Like, I totally agree with that, right? But I think this idea that you should be able to accept your pain and you should reframe your pain as just part of the experience I think it's almost like what we see with prayer, where we see that not only does prayer not work, but it can actually have negative effects. And the negative effects people think are related to expectations, right? Because now you've got your church praying for you and the pastor coming to lay hands on you and he's mentioning it every Sunday. And so you start to feel guilty that you're not making progress. And that's what I was getting at, is like, it'd be great if everybody reframed their pain, but it's almost asking people to do something that is just fundamentally not what humans do. And then the concern would be not that reframing pain is a bad thing, but rather people will then feel even worse. They'll be more depressed because they've heard this thing now. They're supposed to be able to smile and laugh at their pain, and they can't. The other thing is the rest of us are not going to smile and laugh with you. If Mike had a heart attack right now, Mike, it would be so great for you if you could accept I'm having a heart attack. I knew this day would come. Let me smile and laugh on my way out the door. But the rest of us ain't going to be smiling, laughing, and watching you have a heart attack or hearing that you had a heart attack, right? So I just think we got to be careful with how much we want to, how we reframe pain if we're going to do that, I guess is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I'm reminded of what Christopher Hitchens, wrote about Mother Teresa. How she would avoid getting certain medical supplies to her, the poor people under her care, because the suffering was a soul building and a character building.
Yes. And I heard in my head right-wing fuckfaces like Doug trying to make exactly that point. Now all of a sudden we should enjoy when we're triggered. We should just smile and reframe it. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not okay to hurt me, and no, I'm not going to pretend it's okay.
He could say that, but do you remember how triggered Doug was just because I walked out of the room as he walked in when he went and gather?
100%.
100%. So
100%.
all I had to do, I owned him without a word, and it was without even like making the effort, and that's how easy it is to trigger Doug. So he could talk all about how he's all stoic and shit, but it's not true. He's the most snowflake flower in the room at all times.
Yeah. Anyway, Jay, I don't say that other people should do this. I say this is what I'm doing. Okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm not. It's not a should. There's no should involved in this.
Yeah, I think people should be introduced to the potentiality of the benefits of reframing, but it has to be an internal, motivated growth. It has to be organic.
Let me finish my thought. And the other thing is, I'm not saying that you should laugh or enjoy pain. I'm saying you should cry, scream, fucking yell, swear, whatever. You should bawl your eyes out when something bad happens. That's not how I'm reframing it. I'm not reframing it in a way that would turn pain into pleasure or reverse the situation. And I'm not saying that pain makes me stronger and better or none of that bullshit.
Sure,
I'm reframing something in a very, very different meta manner. And I'm doing it for my own life, which I am in the last third of, or possibly the last quarter of, or who knows, maybe the last year of, right? And I'm doing it because it is something that I found out about when I was a very young man. And my entire life has been about this journey to come to this place. And if I get there, and then when I get there, I really want you guys to laugh your asses off at the circumstances of my death. And I really would appreciate that as a favor.
Well, since you asked, Mike, you know, you're so nice to us, Mike. Who are we to deny you your final request?
Have a fucking party, for fuck's sake, and just laugh your ass, like, especially if I do something stupid like slip in the tub or fucking hit my head on the toilet. I mean, God, have a good time.
Or step on a rake and get hit in the head by the handle, and then you just kill over dead.
Oh yeah, fuck.
That's how I want to go.
Like a cartoon.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
We were going to share Mike's final words with you today, but it turns out there was just no mention of Goodell's.
This was a waste.
That'd be perfect.
It was a waste of time.
That'd be perfect. Mike, I actually kind of, I'm hearing you out, man, and I'm agreeing. I'm seeing that it's a different thing, right? You're not doing the Christian, oh, you shouldn't feel pain or God's working on your character or whatever. You're saying, for me personally, if you've got to live with it, you've got to learn to accept it, right? And in a sense, not let it rob your joy from you. And I think that that's kind of interesting, because I would say that I think I do kind of agree with that, right? Like, I've had to reframe having bipolar, right? There's no other way to live with bipolar than to reject the message that your brain is broken and figure out how bipolar is beautiful. There's no way to wake up being black every day, knowing that the world hates you and some people would really rather just get rid of you. And you wake up in the morning and say, guess what I decided today? Black is beautiful. Let's roll. So I agree with you there. Totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real bizarre thing, but there's, like tragedy, like as you get older, one of the reasons why dying is a good thing is because as you get older, you accumulate tragedy in your gut over the course of your life.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to accumulate losses. Like what really brought it home to me is when I had to take a dog out and end its life because he was, he was in pain and paralyzed. And I had this dog and I loved him for 14 years. And I never got over that. That was the last animal.
So did it just had an accident and then you had to end its suffering and this is too much?
I was in treatment back in 2000 and I came home from treatment and this St. Bernard was really old and he had a stroke. He was so excited to see me that he actually had a stroke.
Goodness.
And he lost the ability to use his hind legs. And then it went down from there to where it was causing him pain, the whole thing. We kept him for another 2 years. And I used to pick his back legs up and he'd run out in the snowbank and he wanted to walk a mile to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And, he couldn't just do it right there. So I had to wheelbarrow him for like 2 years. But then he
my goodness.
pain that I had to put him down. But I never got over losing Midas and the fact that I had to end that dog's life. And I got this idea that, like, my grandpa used to talk about this, and my dad, about accumulating death and tragedy over the course of your life. And at the point you die, you get to lay all that down, right? You just lay that whole sack down. But also that tragedy is like a rich underfabric of your life. It's like a pokey, woolly blanket. And there's something about it that feels like life to me. Even the tragedy. And that's kind of where I'm getting to in my old age, is I'm coming to accept that whole picture, the beauty of the whole fucking thing. Like when you watch a really good movie, where bad shit happens and some good shit happens and more bad shit happens and good shit happens. And they kind of end it either on a positive note or a really bad negative, whatever it is. If you really fucking enjoyed that movie, ask yourself, why you don't enjoy your life in the same manner, with all the good and all the bad. And would you have enjoyed the movie if they just had the candy parts, right?
That's kind of deep, Mike. Mike, don't be winning me over here with your preaching.
Buddhist bullshit. Buddhist bullshit.
It reminded me though of my grandfather, right? So my grandparents still pastor a church, and they're older, in the 80s, and most of their congregation, like that's what it's like, and it's been this way now for a couple of decades, right? Where because most of their congregation is senior citizens, someone's always dying. You know, and it's like every couple of months they lose a friend that is somebody my mom and I have known our entire lives. You know, like just yeah, and you're right. It just when you're done, that's done too. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to keep you. That's really all I had to talk about. Thanks for having me. This was super fun. Mike, I love your streams. We got to do something together. We got to get all this together. But yeah, I appreciate you guys so much.
I'm having a little bit of an entry barrier to gather, I got to admit, because I haven't taken the time to actually, I mean, I got into it once, and you're going to have to guide me through it again because I fucking forgot everything.
Yeah, so if you hit me up on Discord, I'll walk you through it. I don't think people should jump in to gather on their own. I actually think they should let somebody know they're getting in to gather, and then usually myself or AR or one of us that's more experienced will gather. We'll actually try to meet you when you jump in to gather so that we can run you through the whole thing. So don't just jump in on your own. Let us know you should expect the tutorial and you should get a tutorial. Also, but I gotta stay here, James. I gotta hear the answers, James. What do you think about this? Peter W is laying down the lines right now, James. If we all stop having babies, that'll be the end of humanity. My response is, what seems to be the problem?
That is also my problem. I don't see the problem. I mean, think about it. If everybody stops having babies and then there's no humans left, the sad part is, then who will giant Jesus come down and stomp like grapes?
Right.
On the end day. Like Peter's like, but I don't get to see Jesus stomp a whole bunch of people like big squishy candy. Like I don't get to see that because there's no people left because they quit having babies.
Well, there's gonna be a lot of there's going to be a lot of old people left, you know, and everybody wants to see Jesus kick their asses, you know. So
I also just think if you care about the planet, that's the fastest way to, you know, reverse all of the tragedy. Here's the thing. If you're going to be honest, humans are the worst species to ever have lived. I mean, can you even think of another species that, you know, I don't know, 100,000 years from now when we're going through the geological column, we'll be like, oh yeah, here was the KT boundary mass extinction caused by a crater. Here's a mass extinction caused by this. Oh, and this layer, yeah, this is when all the animals were wiped out by people. Literally, we're the only species that has caused a mass extinction event across the globe. So
yeah,
I think the planet would be actually kind of happy if we weren't here.
At least it makes you red in the face when you think about it. Whoops, we're the ones that ruined the planet.
100%. All right, fellas, I'm gonna get back to work. Thank you guys so much. I'll be listening from the bleachers. Excited to hear.
Take care.
All right, later on, guys.
All right, Jay. Thanks for stopping by.
Right. Cancel culture. Cancel humanity. Let's get it over with.
What do we got?
So I'm in press speed. 2 hours. What do you got? 2 hours and 23 minutes going here.
Oh my God! I gotta go. I gotta shoot an ad.
Wow.
Oh,
pretty impressed.
Yeah. What is this?
We can finish this. We can finish this later. This is like a negative view of humanity to continue the thought that we were having fun with, but we can finish this another time. If you got to go, Mike.
Oh well, no, I don't have to go immediately, but we should go.
How are you liking Restream? Is this any good or?
I'm liking it a lot. I like the control I have over it. I can operate everybody's mic, you know, without clicking. And I can it's pretty cool. It's just awesome. I have
Midnight's using Safari.
What's that?
So I wonder if Midnight is using Safari. He tried to get in again a couple minutes ago. But I wonder if there's like some incompatible browser he's using.
He should use Chrome. So
well, I'm using Firefox, and it seems to be doing okay.
Yeah, and also I'm saving like $30 a month on Restream, so, and I kind of get the same benefits, right? So I don't know what the hell. So I'm pretty happy.
It almost looks, it's like identical, really, on my end, right? Is it just like pretty much the same?
Well, let's see if I can. I wonder if I can show. Let's see, Chrome. I wonder if I'm not giving anything away here. It doesn't have my phone number on it. Let me see here.
Yeah, as soon as I get a new computer, I'm going to switch to Restream. My computer just can't handle it. It doesn't work well with resources.
So, James, what time do you think it'll start tomorrow, by the way?
I think I set it till 2 p.m., which is like Eastern Standard Time, which is like right now, 24 hours from now.
Okay.
But I can change it. Like, I'm not married.
I just need to make sure I'm out of my coma, my self-induced coma tomorrow in time to watch your video, your stream.
Fair.
Okay, there it is. If you want to see what the screen looks like. So I got my cat on the right, and what the hell? Yeah, okay. There's what the hell is on the right of that? I don't know. Oh, it's showing something else underneath it. I see. Let's see what's going on.
Well,
okay. So, I can see all you guys on the left. I can operate your volume. It's got a black screen, so it's not shining white in my face. It makes me look like a ghost on the camera. And it's just fairly useful. I don't know. You go to captions and what kind of captions they have. Can you say butthole? What the fuck?
And this is free, right? You don't pay for this at all, or is that?
No, I pay $16 a month because I got the version where you can get 8 people on or 10 people or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
And you can use high resolution and all that crap. So,
yeah.
But anyway, I'm pretty happy with it. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you're gonna stream about this thing tomorrow, and I think I put in my 2 cents about reframing suffering and made it clear that it's not a prescription for everybody. So anyway, so I think we're going to shoot her in the head, guys. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think that is probably a good idea.
You going to stick around for a minute, Dave?
Yeah, I'll stick around for a minute.
Okay, boys and girls, we're going to shoot this in the head, and I gotta say goodbye, cruel world. In case I do die this afternoon, it'd be funny as shit. But wouldn't it be even more funny? It would be even more funny because I've talked about it. You could that would be great. Anyway, well,
you talk about it all the time, so it's gonna happen eventually. So,
well, fuck, I mean,
law of averages.
I've been I remember when I was 6 years old. I was sitting in South Grove, Minnesota, on a fucking curb by a sewer grate by Shawnee Ellegard's house, who I had a crush on. And I was thinking, I think it was the first time I realized that I was going to die. And I sat there for like 2 hours thinking about it. And I think I've thought about it all my life. And I think a lot of people do. And so I've always tried to fucking grapple with that monster, because that's the one fucking monster, right? That is like, I mean, it's a really big thing for some people. And I think it's been a big thing in my life. And that's why I talk about it. And that, along with the fact that, I mean, I look in the mirror and it's like, holy fuck, I am getting old. I feel like I'm 9, but I mean, Jesus Christ, I have to face the fucking reality, that I am aging. And I don't know. But I think it is kind of hilarious in a way. But anyway, goodbye, cruel world.
Goodbye.